Hello, everyone. Happy World Read Aloud Day. My name is Cindy Similien, and I'm a children's book author. I am so excited to be here today with all of you. On this day, World Read Aloud Day, millions of people from all around the world are celebrating the joy of reading. And I want to thank Lit World for having me. They founded this amazing event back in 2010. And so on this day, I hope you were able to read a book to either your mom, your dad, your teacher, or whoever is at your home. So thank you for coming on today, and we're going to have an awesome day. Are you guys ready? All right, let's get right into it. Again, my name is Cindy Similien, and I'm a children's book author. I've written over 10 children's books, and today I'll be reading a book called Just a Kid with a Dream. And I'm going to share a little bit of story about how I decided to write this particular book. As you know, February is also the month of Black History Month, and we celebrate the contributions of Black Americans here in the USA. And I wrote Just a Kid with a Dream because I was inspired by the speech of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He had a dream many, many years ago, and his dream has come true and come to pass. So, are you guys ready? Let's get right into it. The book is called Just a Kid with a Dream, written by Cindy Similien, illustrated by Derek Tan. This book is dedicated to Callie Ann. I'm just a kid with a dream. I can be anything I choose to be. With patience and hard work, dedication and perseverance, I can achieve all of my goals and dreams. I can be a pilot and travel all over the world, from Haiti to Honduras, from China to Cambodia, from Italy to India, from New York to Nigeria. I can be a botanist and learn more about plants, or a zoologist and study animals and their behavior, or a photographer and capture the beauty that I see all around me. I can be an architect and design places and spaces, schools and stadiums, or homes and office buildings that reach high up into the sky. I can be a chef and prepare tasty gourmet meals. I can be a police officer and protect my community. I can be a teacher and teach students how to think for themselves and help them to see the world in a different way. I can be a ballerina and dance with grace across the world stage, or an actor and dazzle the audience with my shine and imagination, or a musician and play any instrument, or a singer and belt any tune, from opera to blues, from pop to R&B, from classical to country, and from rock to reggae. I can be a doctor or a nurse, a lab technician or a scientist, and discover the cures for diseases. I can be a writer and transform the world with the power of my words. The end. I hope you guys enjoyed that book. Again, it's called Just a Kid with a Dream. And I wrote this book because I was inspired by the I Have a Dream speech by Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And this book is special to me because whenever I go around the world, I'm inspired by stories where young children, just like yourself, have a desire to become the next president, become a pilot, a police officer, or a firefighter. So I hope this book inspires you because your dreams do have value. Your dreams do mean something, and it's important. And so, without further ado, I want to ask all of you if you can get a piece of paper, wherever you are. And on this piece of paper, draw a huge circle. And in that circle, I want you to write or draw the type of job or profession that you want to be. You can be a writer, a teacher, a doctor, or a chef. So I'm going to give you about 30 seconds just to write it down or draw it. If you're not finished with it, that's all right. You have more time after this reading to complete it. So I would love to see what you guys draw, and if you can hold it up and show it to me, I would be so happy to see it. Thank you so much for sharing. And yeah, this is my book, Just a Kid with a Dream. And I hope you enjoyed it. And a lot of times when I was your age, when I was 5, 6, 7 years old, I had a dream to become an author. And I'm so grateful I have the opportunity to achieve my dreams and inspire so many people like yourself. Today, World Read Aloud Day. We celebrate the joy of reading, and reading is so impactful. Reading is so important in the times that we're living in. As you can see, words do have power. Words can build, it can transform. Words can inspire, encourage, and empower. You can create your own world with just your words. You can make someone happy. You can bring joy to someone by just saying the right word. And I hope today you learn that there's power in your words and what you say, not only what you do, but also what you say. I have an amazing saying and it goes like this: My words go to places I may never go and touch the hearts of others I may never see. And although I cannot see most of you, I am so grateful that I'm able to empower you through this book, Just a Kid with a Dream. And I know all of you have dreams out there, and during these times, we may become discouraged, but don't give up. I want to let each and every single one of you do not give up on your dream, because when you achieve your dream, you're not only helping yourself, but also your family and your friends and people you will never or may never see. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining me. And I have so much time for questions. I see the questions coming in, and I'll let you know. So the first question is, what's my favorite book as a kid? Wow, there's so many. When I was younger, I love books written by Edward Stanticat. She was able to talk about the Haitian American experience. And while when I was a teenager, I would go to the library as soon as school was over. And when I saw her book on the shelf, that one afternoon, that one school afternoon, I decided I wanted to be a writer. And yeah, so that was one of my favorite books as a kid. And there were so many older books I loved, like the historical books. I love things that talk about history. I love reading books about the president. So yeah, thank you for asking that question. I had the other question. So, what comes first when you write, the plot or the characters? That's a really good question. For me, the characters come first. I'm inspired by many people that I see, that I come across. And when I see them and I see how they act or what they say, I look at them and say, wow, you're inspirational. So whenever I write, the characters always come first. And as I start writing, that's when the plot comes into play. As long as I know who I'm writing about, I'm able to create a plot. For example, this girl here that you see, she came to my mind a couple of years ago. But most recently, I was inspired to write this book because of a young girl named Kellyanne. And Kellyanne, wherever you are, I love you. And I hope you enjoy this book as much as I enjoyed writing it. And yeah, so this character, as you can see, she has a dream and she has different ideas of what she wants to be when she grows up. As you can see, she can be a pilot or a botanist or photographer. And so, yeah, great question. Thank you for asking me. So what kind of characters do you like to draw Excellent question. Thank you for asking. Unfortunately, I'm not an illustrator, but I'm a writer. I love words and everything about words. I love writing them. I love dreaming about them. And that's why I have a great team. And Jarek Tan is one of my illustrators for this book. He's illustrated most of my books. I always reach out to very talented people who are able to work with me. And so the characters, what type of characters? And the question that you asked too is what kind of characters do you like to draw? And not too long ago, back in 2017, I was invited to speak at the National Book Foundation's conference, and I spoke on the topic of multiculturalism and diversity and how important it is to talk about the stories of people of color. And so at the time, I only had one book. And this was back in 2017. But after that experience and speaking to teachers and educators and parents and how they wanted to see more characters, more Black and brown characters on their front covers, when I left that building that afternoon, I decided that I will focus more on sharing stories of Black and brown people because there's not that many books that feature them. But yeah, so those are the type of characters I like to. Well, I will like to have other illustrators draw for me. Great question. Thank you for sharing. Another person asks, how do you get your ideas? So sometimes, believe it or not, ideas come to me as soon as I get up or when I'm about to go to sleep. And I always have a notebook right next to me to jot them down. And some of these ideas come to me when I'm speaking to other kids, just like yourself, or when I'm reading about stories of other children. And I also like to listen to the news or listen to experiences that other people face. And so, yeah, that's how I get my ideas. It's usually when I'm reading articles or talking to other children just like yourself, or parents and educators. And I actually wrote another book where a mom asked me to write something directly for him. And I did. I wrote it. It was called I'm a Black Boy. And another book I wrote was on Cape Verde. I went to a missions trip with my church to Cape Verde to provide free medical care. And when I was there, I saw so many kids around, and I said, I want to write a book just for them. So my ideas usually come from experiences and also just a love of reading. And I love children. Thank you for asking. I appreciate that. Another question is, what kind of research do you do? And how long do you spend researching before beginning a book? Great question. So, right now, I'm working on a book about Haiti. And oftentimes, it's about interviewing people, interviewing those who've gone through experiences that they've gone through, or reading researching articles. I read articles, I read newspapers. I do a whole lot of research. I speak to other authors who talk about the same subject, and usually it takes about, for me, because I love writing and I'm so passionate about it, it takes about a month of researching, a month of reviewing material, a month of making sure that the how I want to share the story is presented in the right way. So, but while I'm doing the research, I'm actually writing the book. And as I do the research, the book changes in its form, but stays in the same format, or the essence of the book is the same. Thank you for asking. I appreciate it. So, another person asked, do you have an idea ready for your next book? Yes, I do. I actually have another idea for my next book. I usually have, wow, I have so many ideas, and usually they come faster than I can even write them down. That's why I always have a notebook next to me whenever I'm about to go to sleep or wake up in the morning. And for my next book, it's actually about um, something called Soup Jumu. And I'm just so grateful for the opportunity. And Soup Jumu, for those who don't know, it's actually a Haitian traditional soup in which Haitians have every single year on New Year's Day. And again, those ideas come to me just by talking to others. And I can't wait to share that book. Thank you for asking. Another one asks, if you could tell your younger writing self anything, what would it be? Wow, that's a great question. And when I was a very young girl, I loved writing. I kept a journal and wrote stories. And I remember writing them when I was 9. I started writing when I was 9 years old. And if I could tell her anything, is to never give up and always, always write. Keep writing, no matter how you feel, whether you feel sad, if you feel happy, and I'm just so grateful that I'm able to write books and share them with kids like yourself and teachers and parents. So thank you so much for that question. Another question is, who inspires you? Wow. I just want to say, guys, the person who inspires me is you. You guys inspire me every single day. And I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to write books for children like yourself, for your parents and your teachers. Um, Everyone, humanity, people inspire me. Love, joy, happiness, being alive inspires me because, life has so many lessons. And if I can break it down to a young child, I feel like I've done my job. And so, yeah, that's what inspires me. People like you. You inspire me, Rebecca. Thank you. And let's see, the next question I see here is, how do you select the names of your characters? Here's an interesting thing. Most of my characters don't have names, and I want it to be as generic as possible so that my readers could relate to them more. My characters, there's only one or two books I have. Another book I've written is called Mateo Goes to Cape Verde. I used to have a teddy bear called Mateo, and so I decided to write a book based on my teddy bear which I had when I was a young girl. And so, how do I select the names of my future characters? That's a good question. I think more so, I use the names of the people who I love. I actually dedicate the books to real life people rather than use names for my characters. But thank you for asking. I appreciate that. Another question is, when you were a kid, was there a special storyteller in your life? Yes, there was. And her name was Philomene. Uh, she was my grandmother. I remember when I first visited Haiti for the very first time, and I remember her listening to her stories while she cooked food in her garden in her backyard. And I remember when she came here, she would always tell stories about her family, about her upbringing. And I remember the first time I met her again in more than 20 years was back in 2012. And guess how old she was? She was 102 years old. And she was able to inspire me, encourage me, and empower me to tell my own story. And yeah, that's a special person in my life that has been able to inspire me to tell my story. Thank you so much, guys. These are really great questions. Let's see, I think we have another question. Let's see. I'm going to scroll down. Who is your greatest inspiration? That's a good question I see on here. Who is my greatest inspiration? Again, it's you guys. I love you guys. I love each and every single one of you for what you've done and who you're all about. Another question I see here, where did you grow up? Good question. So I grew up um, in the United States of America, but when I was younger, I remember visiting Haiti for the first time as a child, and those memories stuck with me ever since then. Those were one of the best years of my life, and I will never forget visiting Haiti when I was a kid. They stuck with me, and so I'm just so grateful that I get the opportunity to talk about Haiti and my culture in my last book called Haiti Is, and also in my upcoming children's book that'll be out shortly. And I just want to say thank you to my team and all of them who've been able to help me envision this book and bring it into fruition. So I grew up here in the US, but I remember visiting Haiti when I was much younger, and those influences have been with me ever since then. Let's see, we have another question. I think the next question is, who's the author that I like? Who's my favorite author? I am a huge fan of Edwidge Danticat. I mentioned to you that she was the one who inspired me to go to college. She inspired me to tell my stories. And I'm just so excited that I'm able to follow her in her footsteps. And I'm just grateful for her. And so we have one more question. And that one question is, do you connect with the books like feelings? Okay, do I connect with the books? Absolutely. Absolutely. Before I even publish a book, I need to be able to make sure that my future children or my future readers will enjoy it. And so whenever I write it, I ask myself, will I enjoy it? Will my younger 9-year-old self enjoy it? And the answer is, if it's not, then I have to go back to the drawing board. And if it is, I go ahead with the publishing process. And absolutely, I do connect with the book in some way or form. If I feel a heart connection to a book, I know my readers will feel the same way too. And so I just want to say thank you to all of you, and thank you for all of your questions. I'm so excited to be here today on World Read Aloud Day. Thank you, Lit World, for founding this event back in 2010, and it has become a worldwide movement. Thousands of millions of people around the world are celebrating the joy of reading. So thank you, guys. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you, guys. See you all. Bye-bye.